find it interesting that they're trying to pretend that it's a case, that they're essentially trying to protect people who may have been victimized by sexual harassment, when it was actually Blake Lively in that initial filing that said everything but the name, right? Like when she was trying to imply, like wink, wink, I'm not going to name Lily Bloom. She was like pulling the Kanye, I'm not going to say who it was. And then she just says it. She's like, I don't want to name anybody else in the soup. But if you actually go back and review her initial filing from December 31st or December 20th, also her CRD complaint, she lets us know that it is Isabella Ferrer. It's almost laughable, quote unquote, another female cast member that's friends with Jamie Heath and Justin Baldoni. Liz Plank. She's basically saying everything. She's like, it's schmiz schmenk. It's schmiz schmella Ferrer. Schleller. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but it rhymes with schmiz schmella schmerer and Liz Plank. That's all I'm saying. So it's ridiculous for her to pretend that she was trying to protect these women. She was desperately trying to signal to the public by dropping not even Easter eggs, just pointed blanket statements like that. So it's a crap argument. The point of this filing is supposed to be for Taylor. Quote, Shapiro is not without controversy. He was one of the group of 51 former senior intelligence officials who signed the widely cited and subsequently criticized 2020 open letter stating that the Hunter Biden laptop, quote, has all the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation. And that, my friends, is exactly why Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have hired him, because he has proven that he is willing to lie without flinching, that he will straight up lie to protect his clients. He will lie to gaslight the public.
Candace Owens has been closely monitoring Blake Lively ever since the intense showdown with Justin began. And let's be honest, she's not just supporting Justin, she openly dislikes Blake. Owens has made that abundantly clear, accusing Blake of spinning a web of lies and manipulations, particularly against her former co-star.
Starting to form that Taylor Swift may have been involved somewhat in the background in what happened to Justin Baldoni. I mean, she was named in a lawsuit for a reason. And like I said on yesterday's show, it was her particular style. These Easter eggs. She was hanging out with them at that time. The New York Times article, a lot of what happened just seemed to have a flavor of Tay. Well, today, her team, and respect to them for the speed at which her marketing team moves, dropped an entire article in the press announcing that her and Blake are taking a break. They're no longer friends because, shocking, Taylor Swift feels used. She always feels used. And she wants nothing to do with the Justin Baldoni situation.
Since the legal battle between Blake and Justin began, Candace Owens hasn't held back her opinions, and she's got receipts to back them up. She's convinced that Blake has been exposed time and time again, as every accusation she throws at Justin seems to fall apart. It's almost as if she's playing a game she can't win. And then there's Taylor Swift. Candace was quick to point out how fast Taylor distanced herself from Blake, suggesting that Blake's approach to Justin has Taylor's influence all over it, especially when it comes to those strategic PR tactics. But Candace didn't stop there. She called Blake out for constantly playing the victim while her PR team worked overtime to scrub her name from the lawsuit. And Taylor? Candace didn't let her off the hook either. According to her, Blake only managed to leverage Taylor's power because Taylor allowed it a bold take, to say the least. Candace has also been digging into the Colleen Hoover situation, revealing how the best-selling author may have unknowingly played into Blake and Ryan's calculated scheme to push Justin Baldoni out of his own movie. According to Candace, Blake and Ryan have a pattern, love-bombing those around their target, portraying themselves as saints while secretly pulling the strings. And with their wealth and influence, pulling it off seems almost effortless. But that's not all. Candace is now turning her attention to Team Blake's latest legal maneuver, and this one is raising serious red flags.
You showed up and the meeting was still going on. What does that mean? What does that mean? I showed up and the meeting was still going on. So what are you being victimized by? If I show up at my friend's house and there's a meeting going on and I didn't know it was still going to go on, I don't need to insert myself in that meeting. Justin Baldoni in his lawsuit stipulates that Taylor Swift peer pressured him. And she's not denying that in this article. She's not saying, I didn't speak to him, I said nothing, which I would be like, oh, you just used me as an intimidation tactic in your phone. I had nothing to do with it. She is saying that she then went and heaped praise on Blake Lively's version of the opening scene. That's what his lawsuit states. This is when they were talking about that rooftop scene. Okay? So she inserted herself in that. So unless Blake gave her the nudge and said, can you go in there, in which case Taylor Swift is still responsible for having peer pressured him, then there's no deniability here. She can't say, I had nothing, I don't know how I got involved in this. You got involved in it because you peer pressured him to make a change that he didn't.
Blake's team is now pushing for an attorney's eyes only protective order, essentially giving lawyers full control over what can and cannot be shared, even with Justin himself. Candace Owens wasted no time calling this out, labeling it a blatant attempt to control the narrative and keep damning details hidden. And she's not alone. Many people are siding with her, especially after Justin's powerhouse lawyer, Ryan Friedman, dismantled their request with a rock-solid argument. The hypocrisy, according to Candace, is off the charts. Blake and Ryan were the ones who dragged this case into the public eye in the first place. And let's not forget Ryan Reynolds literally joked about it on SNL in front of millions. If privacy was really the goal, why turn it into a punchline? Candace also slammed Blake for strategically name-dropping other castmates, trying to make it seem like she has an entire army of victims backing her up. And just when it seemed like the scandal couldn't get any deeper, Blake reportedly hired former CIA agents as publicists. Yes, you heard that right. These aren't just any PR pros. They're people with a history of controlling narratives and feeding the public carefully crafted stories. The real question is, what exactly are they trying to cover up? And just when you thought the Blake versus Justin saga couldn't get any messier, Candace has uncovered yet another bombshell. This time, she's exposing the bizarre legal tactics and media manipulations seemingly working overtime to keep Blake's version of events alive no matter how many holes are poked in it.
Colleen Hoover was similarly love-bombed by the couple. I think that's what they do. I think Brandon Sklenar, Colleen, Channing Tatum, Isabel Ferrer, everyone was love-bombed. They isolate the person they want to destroy. In this case, it was Justin Baldoni. And then they are the exact opposite, overwhelmingly amazing and kind and offering all kinds of A-list goodies to the people that are around the person that they're trying to target. Oh, Liz Plank, oh, why don't you be a part of this random documentary? Oh, you know, what is it that you want? We are just such good people, even all the way at the top. We're good people. We want to help you. And of course, there is some dark irony here that Colleen Hoover wrote this book about abuse, but seemed unable to pick up the abuse that was happening right under her nose. So she unwittingly, hopefully, I should say unwittingly, played along in this. She allowed Justin and his family to be put in that basement and seemed open to the prospect, as we showed in that old interview with her and Blake, of her getting her movie right.
One of the most shocking revelations. Blake's team has been accused of strong-arming media outlets behind the scenes, ensuring that coverage of the lawsuit overwhelmingly favors her side. Candace Owens pointed out that several major publications have been suspiciously silent on key pieces of evidence that undermine Blake's claims. Meanwhile, anything supporting Justin's side has been buried, downplayed, or outright ignored. But here's where it gets even wilder. Multiple sources have come forward alleging that Blake's PR machine has been running damage control at full speed, working overtime to keep her image intact.
Just to basically recap here, when Blake filed her CRD complaint on December 20th, Colleen Hoover made her support of Blake Lively clear to the public. She stopped short of throwing Justin Baldoni under the bus, but her statement was definitively loud and clear, especially given the fact that she attended all of the promos and the screenings with Blake and Brandon leading up to the film's release. And it felt very much, if you were watching everything, like they established the cool kids table, so to speak. Justin was nowhere. They wanted him to feel alone, and he was not allowed to sit with the cool kids, okay? So Colleen posted this in response to that filing. She wrote, "Blake Lively, you have been nothing but honest, kind, supportive, and patient since the day we met. Thank you for being exactly the human that you are. Never change." I'm going to show you what they said. They said, given how actively the Lively parties have publicized and litigated Ms. Lively's claims in the media, we are surprised to now learn how vehemently she wants to prevent the public from accessing material and relevant evidence. The Lively parties provided the New York Times with Ms. Lively's otherwise confidential administrative complaint filed with the California Civil Rights Department and thousands of pages of original documents, including text messages and emails. So that's kind of like a pretty strong argument, because they're saying, we're just like to remind the public that it was clearly her team who leaked private text messages and leaked emails without any due process at all to the New York Times. So why are they coming at us pretending that like, oh, such a thing could potentially ruin careers, when it seems like that's exactly what you were doing when you released these messages that only...
We're talking about allegations of paying off influencers, planting fake stories, and even attempting to intimidate those who dare to speak out against Blake. And let's not forget Ryan Reynolds. While he's been playing the role of the supportive husband in public, insiders claim he's actively working behind the scenes to protect their brand at any cost. Then there's the legal loophole tactic. Candace Owens exposed how Team Blake has allegedly been stalling court proceedings, throwing up roadblocks at every turn to drain Justin's legal funds and keep him tied up in lawsuits for as long as possible. If true, this isn't just a PR battle, it's a full-scale power move designed to silence him before he even gets his day in court.
And a lawyer for the Princess of Evidence-less says, quote, "The litigation team for Ms. Lively retained Mr. Shapiro to advise on the legal communications strategy for the ongoing sexual harassment and retaliation lawsuit occurring in the Southern District of New York." Well, maybe I'm mistaken. Okay, he's actually been working in the private sector for a while. Shapiro launched his company, 10th Avenue Consulting, in 2015, after a lengthy tenure in the federal government. I still think it's an interesting choice. According to his bio, Shapiro helped lead the Obama administration's response to the H1N1 pandemic, the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting, the Gulf oil spill, the Boston Marathon bombing, the Japan earthquake, tsunami, and nuclear disaster, as well as numerous cyber attacks, data breaches, wildfires, floods, and hurricanes.
With every new twist, one thing is becoming increasingly clear: this isn't just a legal battle. It's a calculated war for control, reputation, and power. And from the looks of it, Candace Owens has no plans to let Blake and Ryan sweep this one under the rug. If you thought Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds were playing fair, think again. Candace Owens has just exposed yet another layer of their alleged strategy this time. It's all about how they're supposedly pulling strings to keep Justin Baldoni trapped in a never-ending legal and PR nightmare. According to Candace, Blake and Ryan aren't just leveraging their Hollywood connections to control the media narrative. They're allegedly ensuring that key witnesses in the lawsuit are either silenced or discredited. Reports have surfaced that individuals who initially supported Justin's side of the story are now mysteriously backing out or changing their stance. And guess what? Some of them have suddenly landed lucrative deals or opportunities that just so happen to be linked to Blake and Ryan's inner circle. Coincidence? Candace doesn't think so. And then there's the issue of how Team Blake is allegedly weaponizing the legal system, yet another move in this high-stakes power play.
What is Brian Friedman hiding? Sent to Deadline after the ruling was made public. They continued, quote, "After promising to release all the receipts, Friedman ran into court to keep secret the phone records of who Baldoni, Heath, Sarowitz, Nathan, Wallace, and Abel were calling during their retaliatory campaign. So instead of getting these records from the phone carriers the way that we initially requested, the judge has ruled that if we simply submit more specific requests, we will be able to get the records we are seeking," the spokesperson added. "Today we will do that, and we are submitting those requests directly to the defendants involved, and we look forward to seeing the records." I mean, it is weird how dumb they think the public is. Like, what do you mean? Why on earth would you be allowed to see every single message that someone has sent for 2.5 years, predating even the time frame that these people were there?
Candace Owens has uncovered yet another layer to this legal battle, revealing a series of bizarre delays and last-minute legal filings that seem to be part of a larger strategy to wear Justin down both financially and mentally. Sources claim that Blake's team is flooding the case with unnecessary motions, drowning it in paperwork, and ensuring it drags on for as long as possible. The goal? To make Justin quit before the truth ever sees the light of day. But that's not even the worst part, because this fight isn't just happening in the courtroom. According to Candace, Blake's team is waging a full-scale war online. Fake social media accounts and paid trolls have been flooding platforms with posts portraying Justin as the villain while painting Blake as the ultimate victim. And this isn't just random internet drama. Some of these accounts are reportedly linked to PR firms specializing in reputation management. In other words, this isn't organic, it's orchestrated. With every new twist, it's becoming painfully clear that this battle isn't just about justice. It's about power, image, and who can control the narrative best.